Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Unplugged Woodworkings podcast. So what have I been up to? So I made a hob cover, I think that was the beginning of last week. It might have actually been last Sunday, I think. Very basic, but I really needed it because my kitchen's just so small. Bench spaces is like it's at it's a premium out there. So this was just made with oak, and I nothing fancy, It took us a few hours to make. Yeah, basically just screwed a couple of reels underneath to hold the whole thing together. I finished it off with some boiled linseed oil, and it basically just slides backwards and forwards across the hob. So very, very quick and easy. To be honest, it'd probably be a really good project for a beginner. There's pictures on my Instagram if you want to check that out. I did also make and complete a TV unit. These pictures some time ago. I've made quite a few of these. This is just a basic box with some legs, mortise and tenon joints going through the base. It's really simple design. It's been quite a long time since I've made one, to be honest, so it wasn't too bad making it. So that's finished now. I haven't posted any pictures. I may post a picture of it, but there is previous pictures if you want to have a look. I did also start making a dining table as well for another client. I've been very lucky. I've had some orders lately which I really needed, so I'm very grateful for that. So I haven't taken any pictures of this because I'm just been roughly ripping stock and cutting stock to width. So possibly this week coming, I'll should have the frame done. I've yet to source the tabletop. The customer was after some splattered beech, spalted, however you want to say it. So he was like, he really wanted this beech, or he wants some sort of a nice figured top. So I've still yet to source that. I did actually contact a wood yard, and I haven't heard anything back from them yet. So hopefully there should be some beautiful pictures of some spalted or splattered beech very soon, or maybe something else. Who knows? But it should be pretty whatever I get my hands on. Okay, so today I just wanted to talk about me setup on my plane. I'm not talking about like buy a plane then set the plane up. I'm talking about already have your plane, and this is like a daily setup. I'm talking about after I've sharpened the blade, then we're setting the tool up. This is something that I would do on a daily basis, or anybody else would. This is just how I do it. Again, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong. These are just my views and opinions. Take what you find useful and discard the rest. So we've basically, for the example, I'm just going to basically what I do. So basically after I've sharpened the blade, I will put the chip breaker back on the blade, fasten it into place. Now, there's some people that say, get it as close to the edge, the chip breaker as close to the edge of the plane iron as possible. There's some people say about 2mm, and there's some people say 3mm, or it doesn't matter. I typically go for about 1mm. That's what I do. It's served as well. It ain't broken, don't fix it, sort of thing. Having said that, if I want to remove a lot of material, I will set it back a little bit. I do have a plane iron. It's got a what's the word I'm looking for here? It's like I can't think of the word. Basically, the the blade has an arch on it. I still can't think of the word. So basically this allows you to take like to hog quite a lot off. I have got one of those blades. For the life of us, I don't know where it is. And to be honest with you, I don't really bother with it. If it, when I did know when I did know where it was, I still used to just use the blade that I had in it. That 9 out of 10 was just going to be sharp. Like I say, I just set it back. So, but for general use, for everyday use, 9 out of 10 it's going to be 1mm. So if I set it back 1mm, I give the screw a little nip, finger tight, get everything lined up how I want it, and then wrap it off fully with a screwdriver. So when I put the blade back into the plane, I always have it elevated. This is because I always forget to retract the blade, the thumb screw on the plane. And it's, to be honest, I think it's a bit of force of habit as well. I've done this like forever, so it is good to do it in a sense, because if you do retract the blade and it's not fully retracted when you're putting the blade in, it's not going to sit properly. So I still believe it is good practice to elevate the plane. I mean, it doesn't have to be elevated like massively. I'm talking about a scrap piece of wood, 3/4 inch scrap piece of wood will do the job, or even a wooden ruler, something like that. So after that, I put the iron cap, fix that down. I retract the blade if it needs to be retracted. And then I slowly start advancing the blade. So I've seen people when they're advancing the blade, they kind of turn the plane over and they kind of look down the sole of the plane, and they're actually looking at the blade. I don't like this. I don't agree with it. My eyes aren't great, so people could say, your eyes aren't great, but I still don't think it's a good way to get where you want to be. So what I do when I'm doing it, I'll advance the plane, and I use my thumbs. So I'll feel the left side and I'll feel the right side, and just keep on advancing slowly. And you should kind of feel one side's probably, and it always is in my case, one side's always protruding a bit more than the other. And this is when you use your lateral adjustments. So this is for anyone that doesn't know, the lateral adjustment is the long lever just underneath the cap iron, which is at the top of the handle. So that moves left and right, and obviously it moves the blade left and right. So basically, when you do it, it protrudes one corner or the other corner. So you do that again, feeling with your thumb again, and get it to where it feels level with your thumb. Now, when you've done this, you might actually have to retract the blade back in because it might be out too far again. So when I'm doing this, I like to have it, just so I can barely feel it with me thumbs. So when I've got it the kind of way I feel it's good, I'll basically hoist some oil on the sole. This is a rag in a can. This is a Paul Sellers rag in a can technique. I've been using it for many years now. I don't think I'll change. I was using wax before, but I find this a lot better, a lot quicker. So I make sure there's oil on the sole, and again I'll try one side and then the other side, the left side and then the right side. So I'll 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 take the plane. I'll make a pass with the plane, but it'll be like on one half of the sole, if that makes sense. So one of the easier ways I do this, if I am edge planing, obviously I'll have maybe a 20 millimeter piece thickness, in the pegs, clamped up in the pegs, and I'll just use the left side and then the right side. And this is kind of the same principle, when you're feeling with your thumbs. But when you're doing this, look at the shavings you're getting. Listen, you'll be able to hear the difference. If one side's cutting more than the other, you will be able to see the difference. You will be able to hear the difference, and you will be able to feel the difference. This is, if you're paying attention, don't have any music on, don't have any distractions, and you will definitely see the difference. So when I get there, when I feel I'm taking equal shavings from the left side and from the right side, I'll take one from the middle. If that feels good, I'm happy, and that's me away, So using the plane. So I'm going to state the obvious here. Make sure it's sharp. Yeah, and I've said this like on numerous podcasts with all your tools. Just make sure they're sharp. It just makes life easier. It makes woodworking joyful, because there's nothing worse if you're trying to plane something or cut something, with a dull tool. It's just a nightmare. It's not enjoyable. So make sure it's sharp. And what I've just been mentioning as well, make sure the oils, make sure the sole is oiled, and do this often. I have no idea how many times I do this, but I do it a lot. I also do it a lot with my saws, and I even use it on my chisels as well. Notably more on me plane, I would say. So edge planing. When I'm edge planing, I know there's jigs you can get. It's basically like a bit of a fence. And they're pretty much just attached to the side of the plane, and they get everything all nice and square. I've never seen one of these in real life. I've only seen these on like the internet and the YouTube videos. I've never seen one. I've never used one. So kind of what I do, I'll use my first finger and my thumb, and this is like a bit of a guide, and I'll just start planing like that. Depending on what the situation is, i.e. have I just ripped the piece of wood? If I've just ripped it, there might be high spots and low spots. So I will take a couple of passes, and the high spots and the low spots will probably, the plane will identify them, because obviously you'll hit the high spots and you'll skip the low spots. So when you hit the high spots is what I'll do. I'll quickly give it a couple of passes, go to the next high spot, couple of passes, so on and so forth, all the way down, and then I start taking full passes to where I get everything nice and square. I've talked about this before. It's not uncommon for us to use a number 4, me Bailey's number 4, to joint boards, in combination with a straight edge with a ruler. This is very common for me. Either that or the jack plane. I've never used anything bigger than a jack plane. I don't really think I would go out my way to buy one. If I was on the market or some type of car boot sale, and I seen like a bigger plane, something bigger than a number 5, and it was a stupidly low price, then yeah, I would probably buy one just to try it out. But I really don't feel or see the need to go and pay like a lot of money for like something bigger. So yeah, that's what I would do with that. So because I don't use a fence, if you like, this might be an issue for a lot of people. Is what you'll find sometimes, especially if you're beginning, you will plane the edge of the timber out of square. So if you're playing one piece of timber and then you're playing the other piece of timber, you put the two of them together, they wouldn't join properly. It might be out by a couple of degrees, up to 5 degrees. Who knows? Especially everybody differs person to person. So a way you can get around this, I don't do this. I just don't like doing it. But a way you can get around this is playing the two pieces together. So if you're out a couple of degrees on one, you're out a couple of degrees on the other. So when you marry them together, it's a good fit, if that makes sense. I do believe there's videos on YouTube of people demonstrating this. I think there actually might be a video on Paul Sellers' channel if you want to check it out. I think, but I don't tend to do that. I'll just play in one edge at a time. I do tend to get pretty good results with this. So I'll play in one edge at a time, but as I'm doing it, I'm checking with a straight edge to make sure there's not too much of a bow in it, because sometimes I do want to bow in it, if I'm only going to use minimal clamps. But I'll also be using me little combination square and checking for square. So I find if it is out of square, if it's out of square by a great deal, obviously now I've been doing it, for that long now, and obviously using hand tools for that long, and doing it on a day-to-day basis, that I can tell before it gets too bad, just by looking at it, by feeling it, by feeling how the playing is. I can tell when there's something not right. So what I tend to find is that the playing iron's shifted. It's lateral adjustments. So this is something I do, or I have started to do. I don't know when I started doing it, but I do it now, and just randomly over the course of like the day when I'm using the plane, I'll check the lateral adjustment, just the same way as when I set the plane up. I'll just touch it with my thumb, and I find that just by using the plane, you will shift it. So I find that can be the problem when you're edge planing, and you're off by a couple of degrees from 90 degrees. That's why, because your lateral adjustment has shifted. You've somehow shifted it. It's probably been something to do with the grain, and I'm kind of guessing here, and in my experience, if you pass over like a really like hard knot, or you've got some gnarly grain, the grain will hold, like grab the blade and pull the blade, if this is making sense, but it will twist the blade. So if the blade's twisted, it's obviously one side's going to be protruding more than the other side, so you're going to be taking off more on one side than you are off the other side, and that's what gives you the bevel. That kind of gives you the, you're not 90 degrees. So that's what I find anyway. So when I feel that happening, as I said, now I can stop. I can feel something strong and I can stop, and that's the first thing I'll do. I'll check I'll check the iron, like the lateral adjustment of the blade, and see how my blade is. So to correct this is what I'll do, whichever side's the highest side, I'll attack that like side first. So if it's, same again, if we're using a 20mm piece of oak, just for argument's sake, that's the thickness of it. So the side that's higher, I'll only attack that side, so it might only be half. So the way this works is that if you look on the bottom of the sole, or you can think of the bottom of the sole, it's got its mouth, and at either side of the mouth, you've got, I'm not really sure what it is like about like 3 or 4 millimeters at either side, and that's connecting the whole sole together, and then obviously you've got your mouth in between that. So I'll ride that 4 millimeters, all the way along. So basically I'm taking off the high spot on one end. So there's no way, because I'm riding that 4 millimeter edge of the sole where the blade isn't kind of cut, there's no way that can go like I can't take anything off that, if that makes sense. So I'll just keep on taking taking passes all the way along like that, and I'll just check it for square. And when I'm start getting close, that's when I'll bring the whole blade onto the edge and then work my way down like that. And I've been doing it like this for quite a long time. For me personally, this is one of the quickest ways for me. This is what I'm comfortable doing. As I said, if something's not broke and I'm getting decent results with it or good results with it, I'm not going to fix it. Again, this is just how I do it. These are the ways to do it. Give it a try, see what you think of it. So, face planing. When I face plane, and I think this is like a lot of people do this. They'll actually skew the plane. So if you can imagine, if you're planing a piece of wood and you have your plane dead square in the center of your board, and it's dead straight. So this to me, I would say that will be, for this example, this would be 90 degrees. Okay, so when I skew it, I tend to skew it maybe I would be going maybe 70 degrees, something like that. I've never actually measured this, so I don't really know the degrees. This is just like visual sort of eye in it. So when I'm doing this, it just makes it easier, especially if you've got some some awkward grain. I tend to use a lot of oak, so I will get some gnarly parts of the board. I don't think for me anyway, it's not very common to get a piece where I can take the plane all the way down and I won't get any trouble. There's always like a live knot somewhere in it, so it's always better for me, and again it must be for a lot of people as well, just to skew it, so you're not ploughing into it, like head on. You've skewed your plane, so the plane iron's kind of like, it's not like going straight into like a chisel would. You're kind of skewing it so it can like slice it, if that makes sense. So if you have got a lot of wood like this, this takes us back to where it can actually mess with your lateral adjustment. So if you're having to do this a lot, if you have got some gnarly grain, I would advise you to check your lateral adjustment often. And save you making some big steps in the wood. So yeah, that's kind of what I would do. Face planing, I think I don't think I'll ever change that. I think it's more force of habit as well now. You know, I don't think I could change even if I wanted to. Excuse me. So another thing as well, when again, this is probably more for the beginners. When you're taking your plane along, obviously you're only going to get so. This is if you're sitting. Sometimes if you're standing, but you're only going to get, you know, like arm length strokes from the plane, if that makes sense. So is what you want to do when you're doing the full length strokes of the arm. You want to lift the back end of the plane up, and as all this does, this just breaks the shaving, if you like. You know, it's just like it breaks it cleanly. You know, because if you just push your plane down the board and you don't lift, it's, you know, sometimes it doesn't break. And you can pull it back, and you've got like the shaving still attached to the board. Sometimes the shaving will detach itself, but then you're left with like a slight like step. What you could see, you can actually see the iron mark. So that's not really something you want. Another way of doing this, instead of lifting the back end, is actually just to lift the whole thing up. You know, like just ever so slightly, kind of like a, you know, it's like a kind of like an arc, a sweeping arc, if you like, where you lift the whole plane up. You know, just at the very end of the sweep. I tend to go through kind of the two of them. You know, I'll lift the back end up sometimes, and I'll lift the whole plane up sometimes. Again, it just depends what I'm doing. So that's pretty much it for the face planing. So with chamfering and rounding over, I do my number 4. I use this all the time for chamfering and for rounding over. Again, I've done this for such a long time now, I don't think I'd really change it. I can do it pretty quickly. So when I'm, for argument's sake, if I'm rounding over, I'll put a chamfer on it first. So same again, I'll just skew the plane. So on the edge of the board, I'll aim for 45 degrees, and then I'll skew me plane. But again, I'm not really sure of the angle. You know, it might be somewhere in the region of 45 degrees on both planes. You know, so you've got 45 degrees on the edge of the board and then 45 degrees, you know, pointing towards the floor. So I'll normally take quite a decent shaving, like quite a harsh shaving. I'll get me chamfer down to the required depth. And then obviously I'll take them 2 corners off, if that makes sense. So for anyone that doesn't know how to do this, you're basically going to take a chamfer. Once you've got the chamfer, you're left with you've instead of 1 corner, you've now got two sharp corners, and then you would take those 2 corners off, so on and so forth, and keep on working your way, just taking those corners off. But after I've took the first big shot, like the first chamfer, I will retract the iron a little bit, get rid of the 2 I've just created again, and I'll retract the iron a little bit more, and then I pretty much work like that. And it's yeah, I mean, I pretty much just keep going like that. I think towards the end, I'll probably retract the blade, you know, quite, you know, so it's just a really fine shaving. I mean, it depends as well, because I do actually like to use me loofahs plane. If it's sharp, you know, if I'm not being lazy and it's sharp, I'll actually finish it off with a Lufas plane. My little, I'm not sure the number of it. It's like a little dinky thing. That's one of my favourite planes. It's just so handy to have round. So a thing to point out as well, you know, you might have a good plane. Your plane might be razor sharp. Your lateral adjustment might be fine. Chip breaker's fine. Everything. The sun and the moon might be in line, in alignment, perfect alignment, but it just might be the piece of wood. Some pieces of wood just do not want to be planed, and there's nothing worse. I don't know if anybody else has come across this, but I've come across this, quite a few times. I've had this piece of wood, and for the life of God, it just will not plane. It's just a total nightmare. Things like this. I have still got it. I never ever use it, and this is I can't even remember the name of it. Basically, it's a plane. It's a low angle plane. It has a what's the word I'm looking for here? It has a retractable mouth, so you can make the mouth bigger or smaller, and it has 3 cutting blades with it, 3 cutting irons. And these cutting irons were ground at different different degrees, and there's like I can't really remember the degree of it, but there's one specifically for like gnarly grain. I don't really think I've used it. That specific plane, the iron I did use, and I didn't really use it a lot. I didn't really use the plane a lot. It was actually a gift for us quite a number of years ago. It is actually quite a good plane. The build quality is it's really good. I think it was a Kusang. I don't even know how to say that. I have got some other planes by them, and those are those are really good. But going back to the degree of the plane iron, I think it might actually be 54 degrees or 58 degrees. But bearing in mind that this is a low angle plane, so I'm not sure what the bed's set at. It's obviously it's a lot lower than, say, like a Bailey's pattern. Again, I don't know the degrees, but anyway, you could use that, if you're getting a lot of trouble, or a cord scraper. This is probably my go-to. I've got, like, obviously, I forget the number of it now, but this is I've got the record cord scraper. I go to that if I've got like really like bad gnarly grain, or I'll just use the just a hand scraper, just what you use in your hands. The only problem with that, if anyone that hasn't used one, is that they can get quite hot. You can buy like these little, like, I guess you would call them like thumb guards. I've never used them, so I don't know what they'd be like. But ironically, I'm looking at my thumbs now, and I've got two holes in either thumb where there was blisters, and the skin's coming off. So yeah, they do get really hot, but the so good cord scrapers. I've talked about them a few times. I think I've posted about them, in my Instagram. They're really, really good. If anyone hasn't got a cord scraper, you need to get one, especially if you're doing if you're working with hand tools. They're absolutely great. So, again, if you do get that sort of piece of wood, those would be my solutions for that. And as I said, don't forget, just some wood just does not want to plane. It's one of those things you can't do anything about. So with that being said, I think that's me, and I'm going to call it. So again, thank you for everyone that's listening. It's much appreciated. Thanks for everyone that's been commenting on my YouTube of late, and on my Instagram, my Facebook. Really appreciate it, and all the messages I've been getting. Some very kind words, so thank you very much for that. As always, if you've got any suggestions, you've got any questions, email us or leave a comment on social media, on Facebook or Instagram. There'll be links in the description. Also, if you'd like to support the show, please do so. There will be links in the description where you can do that. And again, if there's any videos on the YouTube channel that you like, please share them. It would be a great help. Also, what would you like to see on the YouTube videos? I am planning to do a very detailed video on the Roman workbench. There's still quite a lot of things that I still need to trial out for the book, so I don't think the book's going to be coming anytime soon. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of things that I'm not happy with that I can't really put in the book, that I want to put in the book. I've got to kind of trial them. So I have been getting a lot of people asking us anyway to do a video. I did do a video, the audio wasn't very good. It was only half an hour long, so I do plan on kind of doing a very detailed one. I actually have started recording it. This is going to be done over the course of probably a few weeks. Just me using the workbench on a daily basis and just basically showing people how I use it to complete all my tasks. So, as I said before I started rambling on about this, what else would you like to see in my YouTube videos? Any ideas would be most appreciated. Again, just email us or leave a comment on my social media. Would be really helpful for us. So that's me out. Until the next time, I'll see you guys later.